And today we have a really special guest and an experiment going on. We are going to be Zooming with our great friend, Mr. Ashley Bryan, on Great Cranberry Island and on Islesford, sorry. And Ashley's there with two of our faculty members, two artists, Nancy Drew. No, that's not right. Nancy Andrews and Drew Colbert, but we usually call them Nancy Drew, right? And it's an experiment because we're going to talk for a while. We're going to see a 4.5-minute film. We're then going to engage with Ashley, Nancy, and Drew. And then I really want to show Ashley himself the new exhibit that we have in the building, using like some reverse zoom action to show him. So you're going to watch Ashley watching the new puppet installation here. But anyway, does everyone know Ashley? I think he just turned 98. He's one of the most inspiring human beings I've ever met. When I first arrived here at COA, the first thing I did was bring my two daughters out to visit Ashley and Islesford, and I have little Molly, who was like 7 or 8 at the time, and now she's going off to college, but that she'll never ever forget that experience meeting with Ashley out on Islesford. Actually, whenever I spend time with this guy, I just come away feeling better about humanity in general. So I hope that you come away with a similar feeling today. In let me see, it must have been about 1940, he went off to the Cooper Union to study art in New York City. He then fought in the Great War, and during the war, he made sketches of his fellow soldiers, and he hid them in his gas mask. And the University of Pennsylvania has all the collection of his wartime sketches. He then went off and he taught at Dartmouth College. And then he came up to the coast of Maine in the 1980s, first to Great Cranberry, and then he moved over to Islesford. He's a sculptor, painter, storyteller, educator, musician, toy collector, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person. The college gave Ashley an honorary degree in human ecology in 1996. And an interesting story first about Drew. Drew was one of the two designers of the puppet exhibit that you can all take a look at later. She's a faculty member here. She went to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. Here she teaches graphic design, sculpture, and media. She's done all kinds of work with the Abbey Museum, with the Dorr Museum, with the Smithsonian. It's just an amazing teacher. I've seen her coax visual skill out of people, myself included, that I did not think had that in them. And then she's also finally going to be joined by Nancy Andrews. Nancy Andrews is the Thomas Cox Professor of Art here at the College of the Atlantic, of studio art. And she's a filmmaker and an animator and an installation artist. She was a Guggenheim Fellow, a National Endowment of the Arts Fellow, and is also just an absolutely incredible teacher. And Nancy and Drew have been tight with Ashley since they arrived on the COA campus many, many moons ago. And so to start off this conversation with Ashley, Nancy, and Drew, we're going to show a 4-minute video clip. Am I right, guys? Yeah, getting a thumbs up. So let's take a look.
But I always played the recorder.
Oh, you did?
They lived in Old Lord by the North, and I played the melody. And early on, we had actually picked out little music that went along with it. Let's see. There lived an old Lord by the northern sea. Bow down. There lived an old Lord by the northern sea. And the bows they bent to me. There lived an old Lord by the northern sea. And he had daughters fair to see. I will be true, true to my love. Love of my love will be true to me. So I tried to pick motifs that could be developed at those repetitions, which are throughout the ballad. That's the way it was sung as a popular song.
Nice.
There lived in the Lord by the northern sea.
Have you picked out the puppet characters yet?
Oh yes, look. I'll show you ones that I've chosen. But you can pick any others. That's the young man. And this is the girl, the one he chooses the youngest, because she was the only one I had of glass.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it'd be nice
Good
if
partner for
he
him.
chose her. The old Lord. I chose him because people always thought that was me. A bedpost. This, that. But we'll see, you know. And any of those over there can be pulled into it. Because at the end, Barnaby the juggler of Notre Dame.
And is that in
I
this
initially
story?
made one, I called him Barnaby
Uh-huh.
when I made them. Because he had these little things in his hands that would seem like they were juggling. No, I don't have you for anybody. As you look through the little drawings, you'll find how others come into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have lots of the bones, I think we can
Put on the beach.
put on the beach. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And glass, sea glass, lots of sea glass. I love the way that bone makes a puppet. Spirit guardian. There's more up here, yes, forgot about them. Yeah, those are my father's little awards. He was a printer, and so I put them all on that puppet. Came to a point where I wanted to find out more about this poem. They walked the elder, pushed the younger in, and, oh sister dear, give me your hand, and I will give you my house and land. Oh sister dear, reach me your glove, and sweet William shall be your love. And the sister says, oh, I'll not give thee hand nor glove, and I will have your own true love. Down she sank, and away she swept, until she came into the fisher's net. The fisher cried when he looked at his weir, there's either a swan or a mermaid there. The fisher hastened and drew his pound, and there he found a woman drowned. So it said
Yeah.
we kept developing it. I even had the Corelli, page 8, the Allegro.
I could just sit. Oh, I could just sit and listen to him talk and tell stories over and over again. Do we have the live feed from Islesford? There they are.
Good morning. Good
Wait, we
morning.
can't hear you yet, Drew. Hold on.
no. Good morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning.
What's that, Zach? What do you want me to do? Oh, okay. All right. This is high-tech technology here coming from the College of the Atlantic. Drew, Nancy, and Ashley, can you introduce yourselves and say hello to folks here?
Can you hear us? Woo!
Okay, yay.
Hi, it's Drew and Nancy and Ashley here. Good
And
to
we
see
feel
you.
good, right?
Yes, we're happy to be together.
We feel good.
Yeah.
We feel fantastic.
We hope you are feeling as good as we feel.
We're doing really well here. All. Can you switch turn the computer a little bit so Nancy's in the middle, because we're losing Drew. Other way. There, a little bit more. There you go. That's it.
Oh, good.
No, you
Good morning, Ashley.
Good. We're
Could
handsome.
you tell us a little bit about how you made these puppets? When did you start making them, and what are they made out of?
We'll ask.
Darren, we can ask the questions from here. It's a little easier to hear. Yeah. Okay, Ashley.
What was the question?
The question is, Darren asked the question, when did you start making the puppets that you have here?
I started making puppets from kindergarten on and never stopped.
Where was your first puppet made?
My first puppets were made in the Bronx in New York City from kindergarten on, never stopped.
And did you make those from things you found on the...
The puppets were created by things found on walks along the shores of Islesford. I picked them up and they made suggestions of heads. And so I created puppets with my sister and I, making puppets out of what we found in walks along the beach of Islesford.
When did you come to live on Islesford, Ashley? When did you move here? Do you remember?
I moved here, it was after the Second World War. I won a scholarship to the Skowhegan School of Art, and that's how I came to live in Maine.
And you painted some murals in Skowhegan, right? At the murals, the fresco.
Yes, I came to the Skowhegan School of Art. They had a competition to design a mural for fresco in the South Solent Free Meeting House. It's still there. Don't miss it.
Yeah, worth the trip for sure.
Definitely worth the trip. But Darren mentioned in his introduction that you went to Cooper Union, and I love that story that you tell about going and getting into school.
I studied art at the Cooper Union. When I graduated high school, I wanted to continue, but I could not get a scholarship because of my color. But I was told by my teachers in the summer, the Cooper Union gives an exam for their Skowhegan School of Art. And if you get in, it's free tuition for your undergraduate years. I applied and I was able to attend the Cooper Union and develop as an artist there.
Yeah, and they had they would give you stuff to for your exam to get in, right? They would set up a little table and everybody had some materials. And
yes, we brought a bar of clay. That was one of the pieces of work we did for sculpture. And we had a drawing question as well. And it was on the basis of that when the teachers came down, they would look through all the submissions for the scholarship and select those who would have free tuition for their undergraduate years at the Cooper Union School of Art.
So but they never saw the people applying. They never saw this potential. No,
the teacher, they never saw, they only saw our performance, the work we did. And that was how I got the scholarship, or I couldn't get it because I was turned down because of color from high school. But I was always encouraged by my high school teachers. They were the ones who told me to prepare for the exam at the Cooper Union, that if I was chosen, I would have free tuition for my undergraduate years at an art school.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
So Ashley, when you would go to the beach and you pick up things from the beach, how did did they suggest to you what they like to be, or? how
Yes,
did
the
you-
walking along the shores of Islesford, I pick up shells, bones, driftwood, and they continually reminded me of personages. And I said, I will make puppets from these forms, and that has never stopped. I continually be inspired by the things people throw away and think are useless, to recreate them, to bring them into another form of life.
And as you were making them, and as you're discovering that character, you're also bringing in traditional stories and African names that you're
Yes.
giving them, and characters, right?
It was through making these puppets that I began the research into African folk tales. And because I didn't like the way the scholars wrote them down in their translated languages from the African languages, I began retelling the stories with a spirit of poetry and voice, so they would come alive when told.
Can you tell us about this puppet?
What's her name?
What's her name?
Her name, let's see, her name
Yeah, look her up.
is, let me see her face.
This
Let
one.
me see her face.
Onyema,
Yeah.
Pekuku, kind of.
Is that, no,
No.
no, hold on, let me see.
There she is.
No, that's not
That's
her.
not-
That's
that's
not
not
her.
Keep going. Keep going.
There she
There she
is.
is.
That's
Oh,
on Dito.
yeah. Her name is Andito, which in the African language from which it comes means the great one. Them bones, them dry bones. Hear the word sung in glory, the everlasting story. Hear the word, oh, hear the word. Them bones, them dry bones. Oh, wear them, oh, bear them. They chant the word, flown down from above on wings, wings of a dove, wings of a dove. Them bones, them dry bones. Oh, hear the word, hear the word. When you hear it, share it, share it. Joyce, the word heard from above is love, is love, is love, love, love.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Andito.
And Dito, the great one.
Hey, Drew,
Yes.
my favorite is Animata.
Animata, the one with the, she's in the exhibit at the college. She's got a wine glass on her head.
Oh,
Let's
could you
let's
flip the
find her.
pages to find her?
Yes, we will
'Cause I
find
would-
her. Here, you take that. There she is.
Oh, yes,
And mussel shells. She has mussel
Yes.
shells. And
that makes
wine
her
glass.
face.
She's stunning. There she is.
Good.
Let's show the pictures so in case people haven't seen her.
So this
Animata.
this is Animata. She has a wine glass for a head,
Dress like a head.
and
That's
or you can actually see there's some little, she has a little brain, and when you go down to see the exhibit, you can see her little brain. It's made up of little pieces of
the two
glass.
seashells make the
Mm.
face. Animata, good character. Regal and tall, shells, pearls, and all, a glass for a crown, designed upside down. My long purple dress in the style I wear best. I come from the sea. I am royalty.
She's pretty, very pretty.
Yes,
lady.
Animata, good character.
So actually, when you're here in the summertime, now these days, but you're probably not doing so many walks on the beach, but when you were here full time doing art and you'd be making puppets, you were also making paintings. right?
Yes, I was
Yes.
always painting outdoors when whatever came up in the gardens of my neighbors. That was my work every day, outdoors, painting from the gardens.
And also making your seaglass.
And I continue to, and I also in picking up the broken glass, the bottles, make stained glass windows.
And you had a special recipe that you made up for.
Yes, I
Putting it together.
used soap newspaper, made a mush of it, and mixed paste with it, wallpaper paste. And that was what held the pieces of glass together. And when they dried, I would paint the sea glass paper mache black, so it would look like the binding in medieval stained glass windows.
And if any of you come to Islesford, there's a church, the church here, what is the name?
Yeah,
of
the church on the Oxford Congregational Church. And I made a set of panels that belong to the church on Islesford. Whenever you visit the island, you can always go in the church. The door is always open and you can see the panels that are donated to the church.
And there's also, right next to Ashley's house, there's the Storyteller Pavilion, which also has some stained glass panels in it and some puppets and some other paintings and things like that. So that's fun to
Yes, so
visit.
some of my work is held always on the island in that pavilion, through the church, the pavilion, and in another structure on the street, the patio.
Mhm,
There are the pieces of my artwork.
mhm, mhm.
We have another puppet here.
And they're all accessible. Whenever you come with any family or friends, you're free to enter those buildings and walk in. The doors are never locked.
Nancy's bringing another puppet.
Lots of sticks, but
Here's another fella.
Yes,
can you talk about what he's made out of?
yes.
Actually, what
They died.
materials for people?
Yeah,
materials?
what are these materials?
That comes
Is that a bedpost? What is
from a
this?
wooden bedpost. Dedan. Is a wood from the bedpost. When building a house, constructing it sound, start from the top and build down to the ground. Learn from mistakes, some stilts built on air may end in the bathtub. You don't want them there. My head's a wood bedpost. My hat frames a crown that revels in nonsense, turns thoughts upside down. I scribble in space, then scramble each station. A roof is easier to replace than a poor foundation. That's Dedan, is the town dweller.
He's got quite a handsome suit and cape
A cape.
and the blue jeans suit.
I just want to tell a quick story here. When we first envisioned this building, it was back in 2015, 2016, that we decided we needed more academic space. And our original idea was, hey, let's build this teaching space, but also build something to hold Ashley's collection. And once I went over there and saw just how extensive the collection was, we quickly determined that we could not do it justice. So I know the Ashley Bryan Center in the foundation has moved a lot of his work to the University of Pennsylvania, which is an awesome, awesome way to preserve and display Ashley's work there. But we were really, really excited that we could take at least a kernel of that original idea and have a collection of his puppets in our new building. So in so many ways, I feel like the display that Drew and Carrie worked on is the kernel of that original idea, and it came out awesome. It looks so good, and I'm so honored that we have that. Thank you so much, Ashley, for everything.
I'm so happy that the College of the Atlantic has some of my puppets, who my dear professor friends, Drew and Nancy and others at the College of the Atlantic So thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
We have we have other puppets, and as we go through time, we will change out that display and do special exhibitions that try to capture. Well, there's no way we can do it. We can't capture Ashley's spirit. Obviously, you can see that there's a lot of it, and you know, the next best thing that we can do is try to tell the stories that he tells through that display as best we can. And so we'll change it out. And I don't know if you all have seen the book that Ashley wrote called Infinite Hope, and it's about his wartime experience.
Yes.
That book.
We try in every way to bring what you can enjoy alive. So you don't just look at things and go by, but you experience something more that will be a lasting memory.
Yes. So we'll probably do a show that talks about the war and what that experience was like for Ashley, but through by extension other Black soldiers in the war.
Yes.
and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So we can't wait to start to tell some of those stories, but we're also going to have students work with the puppets.
Yes.
And put on some special productions with the puppets that we have, and we have a lot, so we're excited
Good.
about that.
Yes, it's good to have them, to bring them alive, so they're not just looked at, but experience their vitality of life in relation to your viewing. Very important.
So Ashley,
Hi, it's me again.
sorry.
Can I try and bring my phone over to the display to show Ashley what it looks like in the building?
Yeah.
Well, Darren, do we want to finish up with the questions before you do that, or do you?
Let's do like an interlude and then come back to some more questions.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just excited to.
Yes.
He wants
Okay.
to show you the display.
Wait.
So
how's he
pin
doing
that. Pin that.
All right, I'm walking over.
Oh,
Hey, y'all.
it? There's Diane.
So this is a new building.
This is our new building, and there's
Here we are.
Oh, the puppets.
and we got all your books down in there. You
See,
know.
there's my favorite one right there. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Yes.
And see,
Yeah, that's
I
very
don't
nice.
have the key, but we can open it up so we can do what Ashley said. And
Animate them. Animate them. So we spread.
and
his
then you can
books
see
out.
underneath, we have all of Ashley's,
From my
or
book.
many of his books, his children's
of them.
books.
Some of them.
It just looks really, really beautiful. And you can see there's the beautiful black crow up there.
Beautiful
And
blackbird.
it's really part of the new building. So I'm excited.
Yay!
All right.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
Well, we would love to know if your audience there, our audience, has any questions.
And while we're waiting, people maybe are getting their, thinking of your questions. I had one more question for you,
Oh,
Ashley.
yeah.
How
So you've inspired me so much as an artist over the
Oh,
years.
isn't that incredible? I love that I inspire others to create out of themselves. There's nothing more wonderful than that.
And you've taught me to keep my hand in. You call it keeping your hand in, even if you're having to work a lot of hours a week, that you do a drawing or do something. And
Yes, you keep going.
and you have kept working
Yes.
for many, many years. And I just, it amazes me that it seems like there's always a new book. So not too long ago was the Rossetti
Yeah.
book and the Infinite Hope book. And so we just wanted to ask you what you're
Yes,
working
but
on
you
now.
make yourself an example of one going on and creating, that you haven't created and stopped, but you're ongoing. You inspire others to tap things within themselves that don't lie dormant. They come out and often surprise even their family and close friends that they had arts in themselves that had never known they existed before. That's very meaningful.
And you talked about a project that you're wanting to work on now. A little book you're working on now?
Yes, right now I'm working on illustrating the chants that children sing in playing games in the streets at home. Chants like bouncy, bouncy ball, leap, and jumping rope things, and chalk on the sidewalk, jumping the boxes. To have little books of chants that the children sing in growing up. That's my next illustrating project.
So he's continuing to.
That will be the book project, but I'll always be outdoors painting from whatever comes and goes in the neighbors' gardens.
So are there questions from the audience? Anybody come up with a question? And I think we can take them through the chat if people have those.
Hi, Ashley. It's Carol Shutt. How are you?
Oh,
Ask a
Carol
question.
Shutt. That's Carol Shutt asking you a
This way.
question.
I was the art
Right here.
teacher at the sister school in Northeast Harbor, Mount Desert Elementary School. And over the years, Ashley did so many projects with the students. So I first wanted to just piggyback on what Nancy said, how many, many young people and other artists Ashley has inspired. In fact, me, of course, he's inspired me endlessly. But I wanted to tell you, Ashley, that there's a wonderful garden at the school in Northeast Harbor. And the person who runs the garden loves to paint. So the sunflowers are up. And she has been painting them, and she said that you're her inspiration. And I saw one of the paintings, and they look like she's painting the energy and the spirit of the sunflowers with her lines and colors, which I think you do in your paintings. So thank you for your inspiration, Ashley. And
But I'm so glad you're following up on it and creating things out of yourself.
I actually have another question. Like the work you're working on now, Ashley, about the children's like games and the rhymes there, like music, all of your work is really musically inspired, it seems. And I remember, can you tell us the story of Casal, the cellist, and why he was inspirational to you? Do you remember that story?
Yes, it meant so much to me to attend the first Pablo Casals festival honoring Bach. And I was so inspired by the musicians practicing in the ruins of the cathedral around that area of the concert hall that I would draw them practicing the Bach and the Beethoven and the Handel oratorios and preludes and arias. And that inspired my hand, which is why I say that the truth of a person is the rhythm of your hand that creates and is always creating.
I love that story.
And if folks that are asking questions, if you can turn towards the camera, it's
Hello,
not
good
what you
morning. Thank you all for being with us this morning. Ashley, could you tell us a little bit about the artistic culture within your family of origin? You began making puppets in kindergarten, but you have tremendous sense of rhythm and prose and all kinds of artistic expression. And I'm curious what the milieu was in your home.
When you were growing up, what was the art
In growing up,
influence?
yeah.
Were other people in your family involved
Yes.
with the arts, and where did it come
there was
from?
always art in the family growing up. My mother sang the spirituals all day long. So when friends would visit, they say, "Your mother sings." I said, I thought that's what everybody's mother sang all day long, going about whatever they were doing. And that inspired me to research those spirituals and to do lino cuts of them. And the first collected books were my work of the spirituals cut into lino blocks, which I love to do.
And was your dad a printer?
My dad was a printer. He worked in the printing trade, doing the very special stationery with bordered edges, with the gilt edges, or deckled edge papers, or cards with special borders. It was always working with special colored inks for bordering and for stationery and people's greeting cards.
Would he bring paper home, or did he bring paper home?
Yes, my dad, after any project, would bring extra papers and cards home for us as children to use as our materials for creating art. So it's always encouraged us to keep creating, to make it natural as riding a bike.
And your sister,
And my sister and brother and my sister, I worked closely with my sister. She was the third, I was the second of 6 children, 4 boys, 2 girls. And I worked closely with my sister through all the years. In fact, there's a puppet which my sister and I made of paper mache. That's in that room there. Called Petunia.
where is she?
Ashley, I had a question. It's Steve Milliken, and I want to know how to keep my hand in art to keep it dancing. But what do I do with my lazy self that gets distracted by everything else in the world? How can I find the inspiration to get that hand moving in art?
Yes, I feel it's very important to keep the hand going. The essence of creation is the rhythm of the hand. That is what does the creation and never stops.
But what if Steve's saying what if he's lazy and he getting all distracted with all of the stuff in the world and all the emails and all the work? How do you get out of that and get into your
You're
hand?
interested, if you just go for walks, what you pick up, it will inspire ideas of creation. So there's no end to sources of inspiration. You just must do something about it and not just take it and leave it, but act upon it always.
I like that.
Ashley, my name's Beth Gardner, and I wanted to ask you as a follow-up to that. You're so creative. Is there ever a time when your mind is blank? You don't come up with an idea? And if that's true, what do you do?
So if your mind is blank, she's talking about kind of writer's block or creative block.
Yeah.
What do you do to move yourself out of that?
You move from one form to another. There's always a way. There's no such thing as just living with a block. Find another way to change that direction so you're freely open to another way of creating.
I think, and you can see evidence of that here in Ashley's home. If he's blocked, he can go play with 100,000 toys that he has here. He can go, he's working on about 12 different creative projects at one time. So if he's blocked on one,
You turn to another.
you turn to another one, and they're different forms. So they're entirely different ways of working. And I think it kind of,
There's no end to the source of inspiration. Someone may come in to visit me or so, and that's the thing that opens it again. You don't know where it will come from, but it will come. There will be a way.
And Ashley, one thing you've done is also like you'll go back to take a drawing that you did before and you'll re-express it.
Yes, that's the thing. Work from the drawings. I did paintings from the war drawings at home in Islesford. I did the dock workers playing cards and playing dice or whatever. But I used those drawings to go a step further with them in creating.
And just for instance, the stained glass, you were inspired by
Yeah, the
glass.
stained glass was inspired by the European tradition in cathedrals of glass-colored windows You know that experience when you walk into a cathedral and you have this full color glowing in what would have been a dingy interior. And that inspired me to try and find a pattern of seaglass that would be inspired by the stained glass of cathedral windows of Europe that I saw.
I have there's a question or comment in the chat that it said this is by Dick Atley saying it wouldn't be an Ashley event without him doing My People.
My People.
My People.
By Langston Hughes.
By Langston Hughes. Everyone join in.
The night is beautiful.
The night is beautiful. Everyone.
So the faces of my people.
So the faces of my people.
The stars are beautiful.
The stars are beautiful.
So the eyes of my people.
So the eyes of my people.
Beautiful also is the sun.
Beautiful also is the sun.
Beautiful also are the souls of my people.
Beautiful also are the souls of my people.
I chant that wherever I go. I became known by the My People chant of Langston Hughes.
Ashley has recently been revisiting Shakespeare and has
The sonnets.
recently memorized two additional Shakespearean
Yes.
sonnets.
Maybe
You know.
that's a way to close out. Should we close out with a sonnet?
Sounds good.
You remember a sonnet?
You remember?
Yes, I memorized 3 or 4 of the sonnets. The most popular perhaps is, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not true love that alters when it alteration finds, nor bends with the mover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixing bar that looks on stars and it is not shaken. It looks on stars whose worth is unknown, though its height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass comes. Love's not time's fool, but bears it out, even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never lived, nor no man ever loved. That's one of the sonnets. That's the most popular.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for taking the time to talk to everyone. And
Well, thank you for sharing your time with me. It's always, I always tell visitors, you're not taking my time. No one can take it. You can only offer your time in exchange for mine, because your time would be as valuable to you as my time is to me. So I make sure that they don't feel that they're disrupting anything of me by visiting. You're always welcome.
well, thank you all.
Thank you so much. We love you, Ashley. Yeah.
Maestro.
Thank you, Drew and Nancy, and all visitors.
Thank you, everyone.
And I think there's copies of this book available out in the foyer if people are interested in getting your own copy. So it's a wonderful book.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Bye
day.
for now, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, we done.
Start the morning, right?
Are there?
Ashley's book is available in the back. And just a reminder that next week we will have a conversation between Christina Baker Klein, thank you, and Flo Koa, the First Lady of the College of the Atlantic. Karen Collins will be in discussion with Christina on her book, The Exiles, which is a fantastic book. And so I hope to see you all back here tomorrow or next week, 9 o'clock, starting at 9:30. Thanks, everyone.